Give us a big wave, William. Perfect.
How's everybody going? How's everybody doing?
Big smile. William is one of the co-hosts for this every Thursday. Darren Varley, who just clicked on his video, is the other. Darren's also a board member of ESABA. We're joined by a couple other board members, Chelsea Five from Visit St. Paul. Hi, Chelsea. And Tanya Bauer, who's looking like a railroad bridge in Sweet Hollow Park. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, that would be Sweet Hollow Park.
That would be Sweet Hollow Park. Hey, do I get a cookie? I need a cookie. Anyway, that's good. Sweet Hollow Park. We love it. Tanya's been practicing backgrounds on our calls recently. So let's talk about who else is on the call. Welcome to the party, everybody. I see we've got some nonprofits on the call. Maybe if you're from a nonprofit. Yeah, we've got Eastside Elders and Freedom Library. Welcome to the call. Go ahead and we're going to have some folks that can't wave at us because their video is not enabled. But I see that we've got folks from from lots of different domains of ESABA coming on here. There's our council member, Jane Prince. Thank you, council member Prince, for being on the call again.
Yes, and I see Peter Ratcliffe there, and I just want to say I owe you a letter that I'm going to make myself finish tonight.
Okay, yeah, there's a big smile. Okay. That could just be a private joke between them.
Yeah.
So let's see who else is on the call. I think we've got Ellie Winter from Warm Winter Arts and Darren Varley, who are from the creative community. We've got Krista Schnelly from the Saints Baseball Club and the Historic Mounds Theater. Oh, we've got Stephanie Haar from her living room in Mounds Park. I mean, and that's not all she's from. Hi, Steph. From Councilmember Jane Prince's office as well. Dia Vang from the City of St. Paul. Jorge from Sunray BP, also ESABA's board. Tyler Tran from, Tyler, I've forgotten the name, man. It's Payment Smith, I think.
There you go, you nailed it.
Oh, I did. Wonderful. Welcome to the call. So, and ESABA board members, I think I've already mentioned some of you, but Jorge, Darren, Chelsea, William, Tanya. Thank you all for being a part of it. Oh, Tanya's now popped up in Sweet Hollow Park. Oh, I love it. That's hilarious. Okay. We've all got to get as good with backgrounds as Tanya in order to keep ourselves amused, I guess. Anyway, I have my regular, do nothing green wall. Peter, at least you've got books and stuff. Krista, nice art, Kayla and Krista. Jane, that looks like your kitchen. I've always wanted to come to your kitchen, so it's perfect. And there we go. And Tyler, it looked like you were roaming around.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm just on the way into the apartment, so we'll get locked in a second.
Okay, looks like we're gonna have Urban Roots, maybe Patsy joining us too from her place over on the east side. Oh, a couple Urban Roots. No, it's not Patsy though. But anyway, welcome to the party. So we've got a number of nonprofits and a number of ESABA businesses on the call today. We're going to be talking a little bit about innovations in marketing and how we are doing our work in the new usual here and what kinds of ideas you all have to keep our work going. We're also going to share a little bit in the second half of the meeting about resources and questions, but that's another time to talk about unmet needs. We started this last week with nonprofits and just had wow. What an awesome conversation we had about things that we're finding out there on the east side as needs and made some good connections right on the call. So we can do some of that this time too. Oh, there is Patsy. Hi, it's an Urban Roots team coming on. Terrific, welcome. I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. So I'm going to work on doing a screen share as soon as I have the right screen up. Let me see if I can get that done to just thank folks here. Darren helped me do this last week, but I'm failing at it this week.
Just go to the bottom. Go to the bottom of your screen and you'll see the green screen share. Just click on it.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that real quick, and I think I have the right. Oh yeah, perfect. Thanks, William. And then it gives me which screen to pick up. Okay, so everybody, here are the ESABA annual sponsors. Like I said, we have several of them on the call. But just want to say thank you to everybody who continues to think the East Side Area Business Association is a good thing to participate in, which includes all of you. and all of these wonderful annual sponsors that we're working on engaging this year. St. Paul Port Authority's on the call, DV Creative's on the call, and just want to appreciate the rest of our annual sponsors too, including Ideal Printers, Harrington Langer, Health East, now M Health Fairview, the Sane Foundation, Sunrise Banks, Metro State, Talacris Plasma Resources, St. Paul Federal Credit Union, Highway Federal Credit Union, which isn't on this tile, but we should mention them too, and the Minnesota Wild. So, welcome everybody. That's enough screen sharing for me, William. See if I can stop sharing my screen. Okay, so I want to just turn things over to William and how we're going to do our work today, similar to our past calls. But if you're, let me just say, are you new to a call? Have you done one of these Zoom things with ESABA before? If you haven't been on an ESABA Zoom call, give us a wave. Yay. Okay, we're glad you're here. We also have some new ESABA members who are going to try to join the call. I'll introduce them if they jump on. So welcome to this format. The way we've been doing this is William and Darren and I have been facilitating these. William's going to present today, so I'm going to run his regular role, which is to watch the chat. If you've got a question, just type it right into the message chat area there, and I'll be watching that to help him field questions. So that's how we'll manage a lot of our conversation. The other thing that's great about that is that it will record all of our questions too. So we'll have a running transcript of the things folks were interested in talking about today. So William, I'm turning it over to you. If I think I haven't forgotten anything. Let's talk about the new usual.
All right. Hey, how's everybody doing today? For those of you that do not know me, my name is William Schultz. I am a board member with ESABA. I am on my, I think I'm going into my third year, somewhere in there with ESABA. And I represent two different companies when it comes to ESABA. First is Rainbow International Restoration of St. Paul. We are a restoration company and construction company that's based, our offices are on the east side, right on East 7th in Floundro. And then also I have a photography and video business called Vivid Concepts Media. And that's where you see a lot of the photography and stuff. You might see me at events, taking pictures of ESABA events and stuff. So that's kind of my role that I've been serving in the ESABA organization. So for Rainbow International Restoration of St. Paul, I am the director of business development. So basically I'm a sales guy, and I also do a lot of marketing as well. So in a lot of my free time, what I do is I study the different trends in marketing and social media marketing and advertising and branding and things of that nature. And you know, when the pandemic hit, I was listening to a lot of the different experts that I follow, and the reoccurring theme that kind of came up is when it comes to businesses, obviously one of the first things in your budget to go when we're in a time like this is advertising and marketing. That budget takes a massive hit. And I think for smaller business owners and smaller organizations, when you don't have that kind of money, you're kind of trying to figure out how are you going to, you know, market yourself? How are you going to get in front of people? How are people going to know that you're still around and still up and running? So today I'm just going to talk about a couple different things that you can do as a business owner and just a person in general to kind of build your brand and keep your name out there. And, you know, honestly, when we're talking about nonprofit organizations, this goes for you guys too, because some people might not know what services you're offering. Some people, your usual channels of just, you know, events and social chatter and just your personal network, that's changing. And we don't know how long that's going to last for. So some of these things I'm going to talk to you about today are going to be very important to kind of take heed and implement them. And before I go into it, I know for some of you it might be a little difficult because it's, hey, I'm not used to social media. I'm not used to all this technology, and I understand that. But you're going to have to get used to it now because times are changing, and I don't think they're going to always, they're not going to go back completely to the way they are before. So we have to adapt as a community and as a business. So I want to talk about a couple platforms that are out there that are available for you as a business owner, and also to build your personal brand as well, that you should be on and you can be active on. These things don't cost you money. Obviously, one of them is Facebook. We all know that, but what you may or may not know is it's almost impossible to build what's called organic reach on Facebook. And that's when you post something and it just kind of organically finds its audience. The problem is today is there's more content on Facebook than there are people. So it's harder for content to find an audience. So what Facebook is doing and what marketers are doing and what businesses are doing is they're creating what are called Facebook groups, okay? And a Facebook group is something that you can create as an organization based around a certain topic. And people that are interested in that topic can join your group. And now you are directly talking to your audience. Your group becomes your audience. So let's say, for instance, on Facebook, there's a East Side area group that has like, I don't know, 10,000 members in it, right? That is a group where everything that's posted about, talked about, mentioned is mostly East Side based. So every time I go on my Facebook page and somebody posts in that group, I get it on my timeline. That's not necessarily the case. Now, if I'm just your friend or your family member and you post on your timeline, I don't necessarily see everything anymore because the algorithms have kind of changed that. So let's say you're a nonprofit organization and you're like, how do I reach my audience right now? Well, you can start a group based around your nonprofit organization, but don't base it around your company name. You don't want to make it a company page. What you'd want to do is make it about the area of the community that you serve. So maybe if it was homeless, you might make a group that said, that's about taking care of the homeless and resource for the homeless. Maybe it's a job placement group or a battered women's shelter type nonprofit that you're into. Make a group and start to invite your friends and people that you know in that group, and they're going to start to invite their friends, and you start posting content out there that's relative to that group. That's a great way to build your audience for your business. If you're a restaurant, let's say you're Brunson's, for instance, and you have a great burger, maybe you start a group about burgers, Twin Cities best burgers, and you start asking everybody who has the best burger, and you kind of build your audience that way. So thinking outside the box, and that's free advertising. It takes time, but it's not going to cost you anything. The other platform I want you guys to think about, and every single person in here probably has a profile on there, and I bet you maybe 2% of you actually are active on there, and that's LinkedIn. I don't know when the last time you guys have checked into LinkedIn, but LinkedIn right now is it is like the wild, wild west. It is wide open, and you can have organic reach on there. I've only been active on there for about 2 months, and I've got over 2,000 followers right now. Anything I post is getting over 100 views. Anything I post is going to get about 10, 15, 20 likes. That's just being on there for 2 months, guys. That's not a lot of time, right? That's without having to make a group. That's just me posting my profile. And basically what you do on LinkedIn, it's really simple. You post things a couple times a day, maybe even once a day. And then if you see something you like it, and leave a comment, and you start making connections. I'm making connections with people all over the world, okay? I was on the phone yesterday with a guy in Canada, and we were talking about possibly getting medical supplies, like COVID testing kits and masks and gloves here into Minnesota, okay? That's how powerful LinkedIn is. So please get on there and get your profile going. The last platform I want to talk about, some of you guys might get a kick out of this, is TikTok. Raise your hand if you've heard of TikTok. How many of you have heard of TikTok? Okay, so you guys might think to yourself, well, I don't want to go on TikTok and do silly dances and stuff like that. Well, what if you own a restaurant? What if you're telling your story about your delivery service, or your chefs cooking, or your serving staff that are coming in and trying to keep your business afloat? You don't have to post dancing and silly videos on TikTok to build an audience, okay? That's what the trend is. But you can carve out your little niche, your little piece of the pie right now on TikTok, and maybe you're only gonna get 100 followers, but those are 100 people that follow you because they like your content. You don't need to be trendy to make an impact when you're marketing. We're talking about marketing, all right? We're not talking about sales. We're talking about branding. We're not talking about sales. I would really strongly suggest some of you guys download TikTok on your app and take a look at it. If you own a restaurant, that is a great
Restaurant owners.
Yeah, it's a great app for you to be on. I want to talk about, so those are the three platforms that you guys should be looking into if you're a business owner. And I really strongly suggest that. I want to talk about the other thing, and that's personal brand. What you guys have to understand is your Facebook and your social media pages now are your walking advertisement, okay? And if you are a business owner, and I'm really speaking specific to business owners right now, I think you got to be careful what you're posting. You really shouldn't be posting about your political views. You shouldn't post your religious views. The only thing as a business owner you probably want to post is about your business right now, because that's the only thing that matters, the survival of your business. Because you want your friends and your family to know that your business is around, and that's your personal brand. Your personal brand is your business. I kind of look at it as once you become a business owner, you kind of are trading off your social media personalized status, and your business kind of takes your personality. That's how I would look at it, because your business, it is your life, it's your livelihood. So just kind of be conscious of that if you're a business owner, or even if you're in sales, that you're not always just speaking to your friends and your family when you're on social media. You're also speaking to your audience and your potential next customer. And you could post something on there that could put them off. And especially when you're talking about politics and religion, those are two things you probably want to stay away from right now. And I'll just finish it up with this. Three ways that you can build a brand outside of the platform, all right? One of them is start a podcast. Some of you guys that follow me on social media know that I've recently started doing live Zoom calls every Sunday, and I record those Zoom calls, and then I will soon be making them into podcasts. When I get off of this call today, I'm going to be talking to a nurse who's on the front lines of the COVID situation in a hospital, and we're going to have an anonymous call, and she's going to tell her story, and I'm going to put that on my podcast. You can create a podcast, again, similar like you do with your Facebook group, around a certain type of interest. It could be a nonprofit, it could be homeless, it could be burgers, it could be restaurants, it could just be the East Side. You need to create your own audience right now when you have their attention, okay? Right now is the time to create your audience. Maybe you're not good at speaking, maybe you're not good on the camera, and that's totally fine. But what if you're a fantastic writer? What if you're somebody that's really comfortable kind of being behind the keyboard, typing, you're good with Word, and that's how you express yourself? Well, then I think that's a great opportunity for you to start a blog, all right? People still do read blogs out there. Some people prefer reading over visual, and I think if that's your thing, you can find your audience. There's how many billions of people are in the world, how many hundreds of thousands are here in Minnesota. You can find your audience. Don't get caught up in, well, everybody doesn't like it. 50% of everything you do, people are gonna like and people are gonna hate. Focus on the people that do support you, the people that do like what you do, and that becomes your audience. The last thing I would say, for those of you that are comfortable being on camera, I would start a YouTube page, right? And you could start a YouTube page and you could simply just start sharing your story on YouTube. And again, you can tie your YouTube in to your Facebook group, because again, that's visual. And also you can do it on Instagram, because they have Instagram TV now. They have long format videos. However, I digress on that. You can create your own content around your own interest in telling the story of your organization, telling the story of your business, just telling the story of you. You want to create a connection with somebody in your audience. And when people, I always say this because I'm in sales, and I always say this, people grow with who they know. Too oftentimes, I have sales guys on LinkedIn especially, they just jump in my inbox and they throw me their sales pitch. And I'm like, I don't even know you. Why would I spend $10,000, $1,000, or even $20 with you? I don't know you. Let me get a chance to know you so I can grow with you. I'll have no problem spending money with somebody I trust, I get to know, and get to grow with. So if you're a business owner, if you're working in a nonprofit organization, get out there and get in front of this camera or this camera, just hit record and tell your story. Tell your story and let your audience find you. They will find you. I'll give you one example. There's an extremely popular cooking show on YouTube. I haven't watched it, but I've heard about it on a couple podcasts I listen to. And it's basically a lady that cooks with a cat. She cooks food with her cat. And it has like 100 and some thousand subscribers. Now just think about that. How many millions of cooking shows do you think are on YouTube right now? Millions of them. But there's one with a cat. The cat doesn't do anything. It just hangs out while this person cooks. And it has 100 and some thousand subscribers. So my point being is, find your audience. There is a niche. There's a niche out there for you, for your business, for your personal brand. And you have to think outside the box, guys. You don't want to spend money on billboards and advertising. You can just do it right here from your phone, from your computer. You showing up for a Zoom call is an advertisement. So those are just a couple things I wanted to share with you guys. If you have any questions about anything, I will put my email address in here. I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn, a kind of a how to navigate on LinkedIn Zoom call probably in the next week or two. So if you want that kind of information, just shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like to get the invite for that. But otherwise, I'll open it up for any questions that you might have.
So William, right now in the chat, Krista has put a couple things about the Saints and about the Historic Mountain Theater. But I was just thinking as you were doing your presentation, so part of what Krista's put in there is, hey, seasons are postponed right now. Right now we've got an opportunity to reach out and connect via these platforms. And she's got a video link placed there about, with Facebook, as well as a link to an FAQ on the website. Events at the Mountains Theater have been canceled, except curiously, a wrestling event in June. I mean, maybe we should all do a wrestling event in June. If we could go to a wrestling event, or pretty much any event in June, I think we would go. We'll see if we can do that. Someone should mute their clanging. Yes, that's good. Thanks, Patsy. And I think somebody did.
I think they did too.
Or maybe didn't. I don't know. We'll see. But the clanging has stopped, so that's good.
So any questions? If not, we can move on to the next.
Here's one, William. You mentioned to leverage different social media platforms. Do you have demographic data for the users of each platform?
Well, I don't right now. Right in front of me, I don't. But I can tell you just based on discussions and things that I study, Facebook is going to be your 40, 50 and up crowd. 35-year-old and under, they're not hanging out on Facebook anymore. People my age and our age, we've kind of hijacked that platform, and so it's not as fun for them anymore. They've gone other places. TikTok obviously is going to be your younger crowd right now, but if you're in this for the long term, you can build your brand long term. So if you hook a 16-year-old now, you have them for the next, while they're in their spending years. The other thing about TikTok is I'm on there a little bit. Since the pandemic, the demographic has changed. I'm seeing a lot more people that are older, that are, in sheltered in place. They're on TikTok. People are bored. They're looking for cheap entertainment. And then I would say like your 25 to 30-year-old group, they're still on Instagram. They're still hanging out, posting on there and checking out content there. And then again, another platform is Snapchat. And that's more the kids, the younger kids, probably 25 and under. They're still using that quite a bit to text and chat. They don't text each other like we do normally from our phone. They communicate through Snapchat.
Hey, I'm just going to say about the clanging. Darren or William, I can't actually mute Stefan, but my guess is that that's where the clanging is coming from. Hi, Stefan. Oh, perfect.
Sorry about that.
No problem. We believe in you. We're glad you're here.
Typing away.
I thought everything was muted and off, but I'm sorry.
Well, welcome. Hey, we're glad you're here. So William, you didn't talk about LinkedIn, which is one of the main platforms you're working on right now in terms of demographics. You want to say, how many of you are on LinkedIn? Folks got profiles on LinkedIn? Okay, so I tend to use LinkedIn as my self-updating Rolodex. I really don't use it as a social media platform at all. But the folks that are on there that are connected to me are already connected to me. So when you're talking about building an audience, are you talking about you're talking about reaching out to those folks in my Rolodex who are, already interested in me for some strange reason. You're talking about giving some content to those relationships on LinkedIn. Talk about that for just a second.
Here's what I'm saying. LinkedIn is Facebook before Facebook exploded, right? So what I'm saying is right now you need to take your flag out and stake your claim and get your piece of the pie. Because if you don't, you're not going to have a voice on there. It's going to get muted. It's basically you might not see the benefit of it today, but you will see it in 2 years, and you're going to say, geez, I wish I would have got more involved on LinkedIn when I had the opportunity, when it was easy to have organic reach. Because what you're going to see is, and I can already see it now, I've made the switch. When I log on to Facebook, Facebook has become kind of toxic. That's kind of where we go as a society to kind of express our opinions, right? Not a lot of facts, a lot of, things that we don't like. It's not a lot of positive energy. And then when you go on LinkedIn, it's professional, it's positive, it's business oriented, and people are more inclined, you really don't see a lot about religion and politics and hatred and protest. You don't really see that on there. It's not really socially acceptable yet on that platform. Now, if you can get on that platform now and carve out your niche before all of us kind of get on there and bring our negative vibe and energy on there, which we're going to do. That's just how we are. We're human beings and we're flawed, right? But if you can get on there now, Paris, this is the time. It's the open frontier to settle and create your piece of the pie, because in a year or two, it's going to be too late.
Interesting. Okay. That's an interesting way to go. When I'm looking on the users for this call, I think about Urban Roots connected to youth. I think about Peter and the Eastside Freedom Library connected to lots of amazing stories. Janet connected to elders. Nicole connected to events and uses at the Humanities Center. It seems to me like, Rachel's on the call now, talking about workforce and the importance of employment and jobs for the future. Like, there are lots of fantastic angles that all y'all could be using in any platform, and you probably are using them in the platforms you use already. How hard is it to add something like a YouTube or a blog, or for those of you who are connected to youth, can you use the power of your youth to just populate the platform for you? I mean, you've got youth, have them make TikTok videos. I don't know, it's kind of the direction that I'm thinking about for that. But any thoughts from folks about how you make some progress if you don't have some of these things added, and which one you choose? Chime in about that.
I do see a question here from Rachel.
I see two questions actually, or a new one from Rachel. Rachel says, can you speak a bit to cross-platform posts? I'm thinking that as the exchange publishes their website, we'll use Facebook to drive traffic to our site.
Yeah, so what you can do is, one thing, Facebook obviously owns Instagram. So what I do is let me back up. There are things out there right now that are called social media management software. I have one called Hootsuite. It's HOOT Suite. And what I do is, you can go on there and you can schedule your posts. Meaning, like, so before I go to bed at night, I might have 3 or 4 things and I post them, and I can, because I have a paid account, I can have up to 10 different accounts on there. So I have like 6 different social media outlets, right? Between LinkedIn, business pages, and Instagram pages. I can post to all 6 of them at one time. I can schedule them, so I can get on my phone right now and schedule all of my social media posts for the next year if I want to, okay? So that's one way you can do it. Otherwise, you can say, yes, if you have your link, if you have an Instagram, Instagram is connected to Facebook. Anything you post on Instagram, you can link to your Facebook account if it's a picture or video, okay? You can't do Word though. So think about that. If you're posting like a post on your timeline and it's just words, that's not going to be able to go between the 2 platforms. Those are the only 2 I can think of that talk. Obviously, if you post something on your website, whatever you post on your website, you can just go in and copy and paste the URL onto Facebook, and that would populate there. The other thing would be, if you record something on YouTube, you can put the YouTube link all over you can put the YouTube link on Facebook and LinkedIn. Now, with LinkedIn's algorithms don't like outside outside links. They don't want things detracting you from staying on their page. So the workaround from that is if you have your LinkedIn page, you make a post and then you put the link in your comments. I hope that answers your question.
Well, that's an interesting workaround. Do you mean in Facebook you put the link in your comments?
Well, in Facebook doesn't penalize you for putting, if you just post a link to your website or to a YouTube. On conversely, LinkedIn the algorithm will reduce your reach because they don't want you posting things that's going to have you leave their platform.
Got it. So you put that in your comments on LinkedIn. Got it.
Correct. On LinkedIn. Yep.
Okay. So William, this is great. We can still take some comments. We'll lose you, Nicole. Thanks for being on the call. Bye, Nicole. And I know we were losing Krista too at 3. So thanks, William. We could continue to talk about this, of course. Oh, Patsy's ringing off at 3 as well. Okay. So thanks, Patsy. I wanted to just shift our conversation to talk a little bit about resources and unmet needs and begin kind of filling in and figuring out what's on top for everybody about the current situation. You know that yesterday we had Congress and the Senate come to some agreement about a new PPP package for Payment Protection Program. Last week on the call with 35 nonprofit members, there were 3 who had managed to access resources so far. This has been my experience talking to businesses too. We just haven't had very many who have actually managed to get funded through the systems as they are. And our conversation yesterday about this kind of resulted in, at the board meeting for ESABA, resulted in some conversation that kind of went like this. The expectation is that the pipeline has got lots of folks backed up in it. And this new funding ought to alleviate or just start basically where it left off. And the money ought to be gone in 2 days. Like last time we saw it gone in about 13 days. This time we're expecting the money to be gone in 2 days because it will just go to everybody who's already in the pipeline. That said, that should mean that a lot more East Side businesses get some resources out of the deal. But it also, caused us to have some heart palpitations about if people are actually have found a lender that they could work with to get them into that pipeline. So I just want to open us up for conversation about the resources and the resource weighting, that's the weighting game that's happening, as well as unmet needs that you are finding in the community and in your community of businesses. So let's shift to that kind of conversation a little bit. And I'll just start by asking for big waves and or comments in the message area for folks who have managed to find their way to this funding. Has anybody found their way to funding since we talked last or have talked on the line? Just give a wave if you've actually found something. And there's a big thumbs down from Peter. He even turned on his video so we could see that. Thanks, Peter. Have folks found funding or not? Give a wave if you have. Okay. Oh, yay! There's Urban Roots. Okay, that was a little partial wave, kind of like a half wave. I think what we've also heard is that the funding community for nonprofits is going to step up. Have any of you had any luck with your funders as you've gone to ask and say, hey, everybody, help us make it through this? Okay, some luck there. Okay. Businesses, have you had any luck with this? Krista, I don't know if you guys have applied. Your whole season's postponed. Yes? Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we we got in at the first round.
Okay. Well, are there questions for folks out there or frustrations that you want to share about this or ideas about where to go and connect for resources? Drop something in the chat.
I have a question here. I was curious, why didn't, what was the reason behind Freedom Library not getting the funding?
Well, we're still waiting. And I think that we got caught, we put in early, but we've done all of our banking with Affinity Plus Credit Union and St. Paul Federal Credit Union. And the SBA money is being funneled through for-profit banks.
Yeah.
And so Sunrise Bank told us that they're dealing with their regular customers 1st.
Wow.
So regardless of how early we got our application in, we got sent to the end of the line. And by the time, wherever it got, there was no money left. So I was hoping that someone from Sunrise would be on this conversation this afternoon, because they also haven't returned phone calls. And that we might find out if there is more money coming into the pipeline, is it going to reach us? So that's where we're at. And the hat is out. The knees are bent. We're still waiting.
We did have on our first call 3 weeks ago, we did have a gentleman, and he did say that they received like 1,000 applications in a week, and they're just swamped. And
Yeah.
he would pretty much like, don't expect much communication from us because we're inundated with applications right now. He was transparent up to that point.
But that said, I think that one of the things that's happening too, Peter, that I think is reasonable is you may pick a different banking member and put in a different application. There's no penalty. You've got everything together right now. Drop that application at another bank. And we can give you, if you want, like we can put some information about other banks that haven't been overwhelmed that might take your application. And you only get funded once anyway. So it's not like there's some sort of conflict. Like if your app went through with somebody else, you would just let Sunrise know you don't need to wait in line with them anymore. So, I know it's a headache to do these things more than once, but unlike the deed funding where people applied to 5 different funders, this one, there's no penalty at all to jump in with a different bank. If you want to talk about banks.
If you want to send me some suggestions, Paris, I would be very glad to have them.
Okay.
Especially if there are particular people
Got it.
to talk to at particular banks and institutions, that would be helpful.
Okay.
I don't know a ton on this, but we do through Card Connect and all of my platforms, we are running some SBA and PPP relief as well. So I will send some stuff over to you, Paris, and you can go from there.
Yeah. So Krista just dropped Associated. So thank you, Tyler. That's perfect. In fact, you can put that information right in the chat if you want right now.
Sure.
Associated is an SBA lender. We can send you some information on that bank, Peter. And 21st
Great.
Century has been a good one too. Yeah, okay. We can put some of that info up. Other thoughts about unmet needs? I'm going to drop something in from another caller. Oh, that's not it. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. So last week on the call, in the nonprofit conversation, there was some interest in folks that were working on unmet needs at Sunray. So here's some information about First Care and Sunray and what they need from Yolanda Davis. She couldn't make the call today, but she just sent me an email. She was hoping to be on the call today. And they've got some needs for supplies for kids and toddlers, as well as some food needs with a project called 6-8. So anyway, there's just some unmet needs. Janet, I'm interested, last week we had some conversation about elders and food related connections with elders. And there was some synergy between the vans at Urban Roots and the vans at Sane Foundation and the Twin Cities Mobile Market. And I'm interested in just any progress with East Side Elders and that concern that came up last week.
Hi, everyone. We're not in the food delivery business normally, and so it's been a little harder for us to get our heads around how do we deliver food. The Center Foundation has been great. We haven't actually set up a date when they're going to be delivering produce to some of the senior buildings. And Patsy and I have actually been having conversations about having the seniors using their vans to deliver some of the other produce drop-offs that we get. I drive a Mini. I don't have much space in my car for cases of food so we're working on it, but I think I'm much appreciative of everybody's help on this group. It's been good.
Okay, thanks Janet for the update on that. Perfect. Okay, other thoughts for things that you're finding out there, unmet needs or other things to talk about. I think one thing that ESABA is going to work on doing is funneling some of the issues, just like I just asked, like getting a sense of how the East Side is doing with some of these funding requests. There's no way for us really to know. And so we put together a couple of surveys, one for nonprofits that came to all of you this last week as an update from last time. Did anybody have a chance to go on and do that survey? Okay, that was nobody. All right, so I'll put that survey link back out there. And we're also working on just seeing if businesses would give us some information too about how they're doing in the midst of all of this. So those are two things that ESABA is doing. As a 501c6, you know, Peter, when you put it like, yeah, the knees are bent, the hands are out. C6 is, we can't even apply for any of this funding. We're not in this running at all. So we're trying to figure out how we work on making some new connections with the funding community that has been purportedly more interested in keeping nonprofits alive. So that's the outreach that we're going to be really working on as an organization to see if we can make some progress there. We also just asked our annual sponsors to go ahead and give us money now. You know, I work on running after people for a while. I just went ahead and asked them all last week, you know, if you've made a commitment to us, can you give us the money? I imagine that you're doing that with your regular funders, nonprofits, and with your donors as well right now, just on the in case that anybody can say yes. I know I've kind of waffled between like, is it offensive for us even to ask for membership dues and stuff like that right now? Well, you know, I guess we have to just ask and be okay hearing, what? Are you kidding me? So that's where I am with those kinds of things. East Side Funders Group. Hey, thanks, Rachel. Yeah, so that would be great, right? Especially since we're working on stuff with the exchange. I think we need to just heighten the fact that our partnerships should give us some sort of connections, or maybe new connections that we haven't looked to in the past. So Rachel just put that out there for me. I appreciate it. I feel the love. Thank you. Other thoughts or other ideas for things that we should be talking about or bringing on for the call?
I have a question. We kind of talked about in our board meeting yesterday. Is there anything that any of you guys that are doing in terms of, I know a lot of us, we get our funding through fundraisers and events. Are there any unique ideas that any of you guys are thinking about or doing that you could share with us that we might be able to get some inspiration from? Anybody doing anything out there that's unique and different from what because you've been forced to switch it up because of the pandemic?
Nice.
Oh, the Saints have been doing a give back community series. We've had 4 offers, and I think we have at least 1 more going, but they've been different kind of a value added package, and then we're also throwing in donations. So the very first one was it was $100 spend, but you got a $125 gift card, and then we're donating 25 off of every sale, and they're all going to local nonprofits. The only one, well, where the next one I know is going to Meals on Wheels of Ramsey County. So that's kind of like the largest one that we've had. Everything else has been local to St. Paul. So I know that a lot of nonprofits don't have stuff to sell, but if you're selling stuff, a give back like that, they've been really, really popular. Even we did one for the Securian Club. It was 4 tickets for $250, and those are normally $130 each. But so it was $250 for 4 and $25 donation on off of that. So we've had some of our season ticket holders buying every package just to be part of the give back. So
Nice. You
yeah,
know, how many nonprofits on this call would like to be a recipient of the give back? Like, boom. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I haven't. I always throw out our local ones. Another friend of mine is a photographer, and she's wanting to do a give back pretty soon, and she wanted local nonprofits. And I told her Face to Face, Cookie Cart. Those are some of my favorites, you know, that help around here. Also, Cookie Cart has contact-free pickup. You just have to order online and go pick it up the next day.
Well, I know how they got, you know, to be my favorite all of a
And
sudden.
they're delivering to hospitals too, so you can buy a dozen for yourself and a dozen to be delivered to hospital nurses.
Nice. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So Peter, you tried a virtual book club. Has that started yet?
Well, we're doing a number of things to get people to remain connected or become connected in new ways. So we're asking people to write short blogs about what they're reading.
Mm.
And we're posting that on our webpage. We're asking people to write short accounts of experiences that they're having in the crisis, and we're posting that on the website. And we've gone to Zoom meetings with 3 book groups. So those are closed, the people who were already in those book groups. And then we're starting to do online programming. Tonight, we're hosting a debate between the 2 candidates for District 67A. If indeed the link between Zoom and Facebook Live works tonight, it didn't work Monday night when we were trying to do it. So we're all living and learning, particularly those of us who our best days were back in the 20th century. So these new technologies are challenging.
Right on.
But if you're reading, any of you, if you're reading something and would like to write 2-3 paragraphs about why you're reading it and what it's doing for you, send it to info@eastsidefreedomlibrary.org and we'll put it on our website.
Well, and I think you've brought up an interesting point here, Peter, that helps us with this reach that I think William was getting at before.
Yes.
You know, one of the best things that we can do for each other is post to each other's pages, share each other's content, pick it up and spin it around. It's all East Side relevant. So, you know, that I think that's one of the things that, you know, ESABA is, we're actually, we're tooled that way. You know, like our brand is the people in our association. It's all of you. But, you know, I say this to Marv and to St. Paul Brewing and to Brunson's fairly regularly, and Visit St. Paul is a good one to say this to too, of course. And that when those guys actually camp on and share something, it's got a new reach, like big reach, that is different than our usual audiences. And we may find some people out there when we're making these kinds of posts and connections. So yeah, William.
We got a hand up here.
Okay.
Is that mine?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay, I'm Haley. I'm with Urban Roots. I'm our deputy director. One thing that I wanted to mention for nonprofits and schools is GiveMN is doing very similar to Give to the Max Day. They're doing an entire week, May 1st through 8th, where it's Give at Home MN. They have all the information on their page, so I would definitely recommend updating your pages. And then during the months of March, April, and May, they're giving back a portion of the processing fee that they normally would take out of those donations and giving it back to the nonprofits and schools.
Who knew about that? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so we're working on our marketing campaign and making sure all of our things are updated for that. So if you go on to givemn.org, they have like the banner at the top will say like COVID-19 resources and updates or something like that.
Nice. I just put it in the feed.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just sent it to Rachel. I didn't mean to. I meant to.
Yeah, we're also right now doing, like, with our social media pages, we're partnering with Eastside Table to do weekly cooking demos. Our Cook Fresh manager Saba is doing those all the time, which are great. We've gotten a little bit of a following with that, and we'll be partnering with Mississippi Market and Eastside Table to also do like pantry staples videos as well coming up in May. So
Are those posted on YouTube? Like speaking to Williams, like YouTube channel thing?
they aren't on YouTube. They're all on Facebook because Saba goes live. And she does
They're
those.
Facebook Live videos. Okay.
Yep. And you can find them either on Eastside Table's page or the Urban Roots page.
Great, right? And we should share some of those, like some of those. I mean, it sounds like the only thing you need is a cat.
Yeah, we just apparently need a cat at this point. So
There you go. I'm sure someone in the Urban Roots community could lend you a cat.
I have 2 at my house and a 1-year-old. So I feel like somewhere in there is a little bit of internet, like
Internet correct.
fodder. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Well, so it sounds like one of the things we want on these calls is some of these banking members back. So that was one thing I took away from Peter's comment earlier. Let's get some of those folks that are, part of this bridge to resources as a part of these calls too. Are there other topics? So right now in the last couple of minutes of our call, are there other topics that are hot for you that you wish you were talking about with other East Side businesses or East Side members? Type something in down there, and we're putting content together every week. So, we're aside from talking about the situation that we're in right now, resources and unmet needs, those are always going to be our topics. Promoting the census. Thank you, Janet. Other thoughts about what we should be talking about as an East Side community?
Paris, I just wanted to share for Peter and anyone else that's hosting any like virtual events that people can attend. We on Visit St. Paul's website are promoting virtual events around the city right now, and so you can enter those there. It's completely free. So I'll drop the link in the chat here.
Great. I also want those on ESABA's website. Like, let's, send me this stuff or post it, just submit it. You can submit it directly on ESABA's website. We want to be sharing the things you're doing. So thank you for that. And that's an easy tool to use. Same thing, Urban Roots. Love to have your stuff on. We did elder cafes for a long time, Janet. What's our elder virtual cafe look like? I don't know, but we'd love to be posting about it.
Well, we're working on one for May, and it's going to be really good. We have a singing group of high school kids in California who are going to be singing Frank Sinatra songs, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
So, William, what social media demographic does that hit? I'm just saying.
That might go back to the radio. But actually, honestly, that's actually a TikTok waiting to go viral. Because
there you go.
High school kids singing Frank Sinatra songs. That has viral potential right there.
Okay, it's TikTok. So that's what we're watching for, Janet. The TikTok connection. Kayla, it's got to be you putting that together. Getting it to TikTok. All right. Good stuff, everybody. So happy to post. Oh, yes. So Jane Prince says, happy to post any of your events and offerings on her city council social media. Twitter, Nextdoor. Fantastic. So Councilmember Prince, how do you want us to get that stuff to you? Do we send it to you in an email?
Yeah, probably an email is easiest. Just send it to my city council email, jane.prince or Ward 7. Either way, it'll get to me at ci.stpaul.mn.us. Or I guess it's jane.prince at stpaul.gov. Also works.
Ward 7 populates.
Okay, I'll put those in the chat.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. Thank you, council member. Again, these are good ways that we can start getting that reach a little bit to move around in ways that it doesn't usually move around, is to share each other's stuff out there with our communities. Okay. Urban Roots has to run. Thanks, Kayla. No, that wasn't Kayla. Okay, there's Jane Prince's stuff. Okay, so working on wrapping up, talking a little bit about new topics for next time. This was a great topic. Thanks, William, for getting this going. I think innovations is something that we're all trying to think about and trying to make our way toward. Next week, we'll talk about, resources in the new usual and how we are continuing to make those connections. Unless there are any other topics that folks have coming on, that will be our topic for next time. Seem okay? All right. Well, final word. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the awesome community that is the East Side that makes things continue to happen. Let's keep it up. Let's keep connecting with each other and keep the energy high, and keep sending me any questions that you have. We'll work on connecting you to the resources we need to make it through this. All right.
Thanks for doing this, ESABA.
Yep. Thank you for being a part of it, council member, and all of you. We'll see you next week, 2:30.